Hey guys, welcome back to the channel for these back-to-back tutorials featuring the Smashbox Double Exposure Palette. To start, I'm going to be using most of the shadows of the first look wet, using e.l.f.'s Makeup Lock and Seal as a mixing medium. The first thing I did was use the brush that came with the palette, mixed the medium with the shade Blanc, and applied that to my inner corner. Up next, I went into the shade Silver, which actually has kind of a lavender hue to it. I once again foiled that with my mixing medium and applied that to the center of my lid as well as the rest of my lower lash line. To add some color and depth to that outer corner, I'm using the angled side of the brush that comes with this palette and going into the shade Temper, which is this beautiful deep plum purple. I'm using this wet as well, so it really shows up in that outer corner. Once I've used that angled end to create some definition in the outer corner, I'm flipping the brush over and using the fluffier side to blend it all out throughout both the crease and across the lid. Then moving on to a fluffier brush, I'm going into the shade Fig, which is this beautiful deep burgundy, and I'm using that to blend all those shades out throughout the crease. Now that step, I did use the shadow dry because I wanted a somewhat softer look throughout the crease to help everything blend, but this, once again, I will use the brush wet with that mixing medium. This is just an angled liner brush going into the shade Noir, and I'm using that to create a subtle cat eye flick. And on to mascara to finish the look up. This is when you'll recognize if you've been watching a few of my recent tutorials. It is the Instant Lash Extensions Kit from Physicians Formula. Here I am once again just using the mascara portion of that duo, applying that to both my upper and lower lashes. And I thought this look really needed some falsies, so I went ahead and applied Socialize Minx lashes as well. I lied, I'm actually not done with the eyes yet. This is the last step, I swear though. This is Butter London's Wink Eye Pencil in the shade Inky 6. It's this beautiful electric navy blue, and that is what I am using to line my lower waterline. For foundation, I used Physicians Formula's Touch of Glow foundation. It's from the Nudewear line. Mine is in the shade Light. I skipped showing you this stuff because this is yet again another product that I've showed multiple times over the course of the past few tutorials. I'm skipping instead straight ahead to highlighting. This is from Sleek Makeup, and it is their Luminaire Highlighting Concealer. You could see there that I just used the applicator that came with it to apply it directly to my under eye area, and then this is e.l.f.'s Ultimate Kabuki brush that I was experimenting with at the time. It took me forever to blend this out with this tool. I ultimately ended up going in and using my fingers, but I was trying this at the time because I recently did a comparison between this and the Becca The One Perfecting Brush, so I'll put a link to the info bar below if you want to see that. Speaking of Becca, I'm going in with their Ultimate Coverage Concealing Cream, and I'm using my fingers to apply that to my under eye area for some additional coverage as well as blemishes I have around my face. Onto the rest of the face, I'm starting with bronzer. This is from a new brand I recently found on Ulta, online at least. This is from the brand To Be. It's Terra, their bronzer. Mine is in the shade 1, and I'm using the e.l.f. Ultimate Kabuki to shade the hollows of my cheeks, my temples, and I tried to get down the sides of my nose, but this brush is so wide that it makes that a little bit difficult. Then I followed that up with blush. This is once again from the same brand, To Be, and this is their Blush Cheek Pop in the shade 04. It's kind of a lightly shimmery rose shade. And I'm using the narrow end of that Ultimate Kabuki to dab on the apples of my cheeks. Then last for the face is highlighter. This is Becca's Shimmering Skin Perfector Pressed in the shade Opal, once again using that same Kabuki brush to apply to the tops of my cheekbones. And I'm wrapping up this whole look with the lips. This is Loraqu's Tantalizer Lips with Benefits in the shade Ernesto. It's this lightly bronzed, shimmery lip gloss that I'm just applying a couple coats all over my lips, and that is the completed first smoky look. Now on to the next look. It's a little softer, a little less icy, and I'm using all of these shadows dry, so you don't need a mixing medium to complete this look. I am, however, starting off with an opaque base. This is Anastasia's Waterproof Cream color in the shade Honey, and I'm using my finger to apply that, dab that really gently because these are pretty sticky, all over my lid, lower lash line, and right up to underneath my brow. For shadows in this look, I'm starting with the shadow called Veiled, and I'm using the flat shader brush that comes on one end of the brush that comes with this palette. I'm using that to apply to my inner corner as well as beneath my brow. Then going back into that same Fig shade and the same fluffy shader actually from the first look, I'm using that to define the crease and once again use it as sort of a best friend blending color. I'm also using the fluffy angled side of the brush that comes with this palette to apply that same Fig shade to the outer portion of my lower lash line. Now Now, flipping the brush back over the fluffy end, I'm using the shade Quartz, which is this beautiful peachy gold shade, patting that all over the rest of my lid. On to add some depth, I'm using a stiff dome brush in the shade Espresso, a deep matte brown, and I'm applying that to my outer corner as well as the outer portion of my lower lash line. Once again, I'm back into the Black Noir shade with an angled liner brush and using that to create a somewhat softer winged liner. Actually, it's really more just a little bit of added definition to the outer corner, because then I will go in with that same stiff dome brush and blend that into the rest of the shadows I've already placed into my outer corner. Once again, I went in with a few coats of that same Physicians Formula mascara, but to go a more softer route with the lashes, I used the Glamorous Lashes from Socialize. The rest of the face is actually identical to what I did for the first face, so I'm skipping straight to the lips on this one. This is once again from that same new to me brand, 2B. This is their 3D gloss in the shade Grosse, and I'm applying that all over my lips. And that finishes off the second look in this double feature, double exposure tutorial. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!